Stop rereading the same paper 5 times just because you forgot the findings. If you're still summarizing papers manually, you're working harder than you need to. Today I'm sharing my Master Metadata Matrix. This is the exact Excel file where I track my problem statements, findings, or metadata of the papers. Along with that, we're going to use Gemini or Claude or Litmap to fill it in a lightning speed. I use Litmap to find findings across hundreds of papers instantly. Let me show you how. So this is Litmap. You can log in or you can create an account using your credentials. So if I'm signing in, you can also sign it with Orchid. I'm signing in using my university credentials. So if you search gamification, it will show you. So you can check gamification, 0 reference, 0 citation. So let's not look into that. This is gamification, 101 reference, 432 citations published in 2024. Good enough because you need to find last 5 years of literature. So you can add this to Litmap. You can create a new project, gamification. You can also tag with board game, maybe. You can go and check this. If you like this, you can go for get PDF. But whatever you find from Litmap, you have to go and check the ranking of the journal first. It has to be from Q1 to Q3, Q4. It should not be from any journal which is not peer reviewed, which is not indexed in SJR. If you have missed my previous video, I have shown you exactly how to find a high rank journal. Okay, now let's add more 2023, good reference, good citation, add to Litmap, verification, then add more. This is 0 reference, 0 citations. Let's keep that, add to Litmap. If we do not filter, we can also get old literature if you're looking for anything that what happened in last 10 years. Now, if we go to gamification, you can see the map. You can see which one is connected through which one. You can make a map out of it. Which one has more citation, just to understand. This is the stage we are trying to understand our literature, trying to understand what happened in the past years before we got into this conversation, okay? We are joining an existing conversation. We are trying to find a gap in that. So we have to understand our data. We have to understand who are the key scholar, what is the keywords that has been discussed the most in this area. So you have to spend a good amount of time in understanding your literature, finding the right literature, finding the right gap and novelty for your study. So the more you understand your literature, the better your works will be, because you would be answering the exact gap. You will be providing the solution of exact problem that has been existing for such a long time. If I'm showing you my literature mapping for media system dependency theory, so when I was just studying the theory or trying to understand do you see the connections, which means which article actually cited the other article. That's how it's all connected. So this one is older publication. This side is more citation. So you can see from where it originated. I could add more. This is not the final one. This is the free version. So I can show you the exact map, how it looked like. Once I was staring at my data, I suddenly realized that, okay, I can see there's a significant changes in the pattern of studies before COVID and after COVID. So from here, I created a map. I created this comparative study, the image, the diagram of this map, where it shows that what kind of studies were done using media system literacy theory before COVID and after COVID. Before COVID, if it was used more in technological communication, after COVID, it was used more for health communication. So once Litmap is a great way to understand your literature in that way. I don't know what your study is, but once you start staring at it, once you see which one connected more literature of which background, you suddenly find a pattern. In the beginning, you will be lost, even if you have your problem statement, you have your title, your research questions and objectives, your hypothesis, but still, you have to take some time to understand the pattern that exists in the previous literature. So once I have all the data, I go to Gemini. Let's upload some data on Gemini. So you can upload 10 at a time, but there is no limitation. You can keep uploading at some point. But yeah, every free tools will have, platforms will have some limitation. Maybe you can start doing that, organizing your data using 10 or 20 literature first. Then you move on to your Excel sheet. You get the table from here and then shift it to Excel, and you come back, you do it again. Now I will show you exactly what to ask to Gemini for organizing your data. First one, okay, the best way is I keep them in a Word file. So whenever I have a new subject to study, I just change my question based on my topic. Okay, first one, list every popular author plus year plus core claim in one sentence. Group them into cluster of shared assumptions. Flag any paper that contradicts another. Second question, across all papers uploaded, identify every point where two or more authors directly contradict each other. For each contradiction, one, state both position, name the papers, explain why they likely disagree, format as table. Then 3, pick the 3 most cited concepts across these papers. For each concept, who included it first, who challenged it, who refined it, and what's the current consensus, if any. Okay? Show me the intellectual lineage like a tree. Then number 4, based on all the uploaded papers, identify the 5 research questions that nobody has fully answered yet. For each gap, why does it exist? Is it too hard, too niche, overlooked? Why existing papers came closest to answering it? What methodology would be needed to close it? Compare the research methodologies used across all papers, grouped by surveys, experiments, simulations, meta-analysis, case studies. The flag, which methodology dominates this field and why, which methodology is underused, which paper's methodology is weakest and why. If you have all these answers just at a glance in front of you, even if you keep staring at them for 2-3 days, I mean, not straight 2-3 days, like every day you don't understand, it seems overwhelming. Next day again, just keep staring at this, just this Excel sheet. At the end of week, you will find a pattern. You will find a distinct gap where you can actually contribute, and it matters to the world. It will matter to your examiners as well. So these are the best prompts that you could utilize AI platform to help you understand the data. So see how it does. Key authors and core claims, cluster of shared assumption, a table for you with different positions of the papers, which papers are talking about the similar things, which papers are talking about the opposite things, which papers are seeing the gamification from different angles. Okay. Then there is methodology, comparison. You can export all these. Now I will tell you what I meant when I actually got all the data from metadata from Gemini. The next step is to get your Excel sheet ready. Uh, So when I started working, I did not have Gemini or any other AI platform. I started with, but I had Elicit, which is also an AI tool to help you with organizing your data, your metadata. So all the columns you see, the title, authors, year, summary, methodology, study design, outcome measured, summary of discussion, hypothesis tested, theoretical framework, measured variables, statistical techniques, sector, region, annotation, statistical significance, effect size, correlational coefficient, predictive power if available. So these all are to understand my data. Before you even start reading your paper one by one, you have to understand your data in a way that you have to understand the pattern, the summary, what they're talking about, and you can just play with it. Don't start writing right away. Try to at least spend a month on literature before opening your PDF to start reading one by one. If you start doing that, you will stuck to page 1 or 2 and you won't remember the findings. So don't do that. Don't waste your time. If you can work smarter in ethical way, why wouldn't you work smarter? Why would you just work hard with exhausting yourself and nothing much? So after I organized all, and this is just the theoretical part. This all literature is just my theory. All the papers that I found, and after this quality assessment, I included them in my thesis and I conducted systematic literature review. If you missed my video on systematic literature review, you can find it on my channel. So you can see that how you have to go through stage by stage. And after all the quality assessment, these are the ultimate number of literature that I downloaded and kept for my literature review. And this is only the part of media system dependency theory, the theoretical framework, theoretical integration of my study. After I understood the pattern, I separated them in different category, like for health and crisis communication, political communication, business technology, media effect. I also had some annotation for myself to understand what I was thinking while reading the paper, reading the summary on the paper. Then you can see I wrote need to search on SciSpace to understand this concept. There are some things I highlighted that this is something I need to ask. So that's my cue to start talking about SciSpace. I will take you there. And remember, this all are happening before we open the PDF to read it by ourselves, okay? We are not reading first. We will understand our literature first. Then we start reading, and then from there we'll start writing. I will show you that as well, okay? So SciSpace. Okay, before we move on to SciSpace, I also want to see when I was still understanding the summary and all this metadata of my study. Elicit helped me to create the columns, and I decided which columns I wanted, what metadata I wanted to include in my matrix. You can also take this as an example and upload it on Gemini and upload the PDF, then ask Gemini to create this Excel sheet for you, okay? And then you can, since we don't have Elicit free version anymore, so it will be so much easier. And then what I did, I also tried to find probably some weird patterns or discrepancies. So I started recording the regions, how many paper published from which regions, and I included this data on my systematic literature review. I also started understanding which theories were integrated with media system dependency theory in the articles that I downloaded. I wrote media system dependency theory was in 32 articles among 48, in which 19 articles were with only MST, 13 had a combination of other theories, 13 in combination with other theories, 19 solo. So these are all my thoughts, I'm just brain dumping. So then I found out that, okay, even if studies were conducted on Southeast Asian and South Asian region more than Western context, but all these theories originated in the Western context. That was one of my findings as well in my systematic literature review for media system dependency theory, which I published. I mean, one of the findings, so which I also published in during my PhD.
Are you team manual reading? Or are you ready for an AI assisted workflow? Let me know in the comments below because I want to see how you're using these tools.
So from SciSpace, we move on to the Word file. And you can see the title, Media System Dependency Literature Support. Okay. This is only the Word file for media system dependency theory. So I have similar file for all the variables separately. Okay. That's how much time I spent to understand my literature before I open my PDF files one by one, because I started doing with that and I was so lost. I took a break for such a long time. Then I returned to my PhD and I explored and explored and explored until the time I figured out what works best for you. So I'm just telling you exactly how it works for me, how it worked for me, and how it made my life so easier. So when I went to SciSpace, I started chatting with it. I kept asking questions and I got all my answers. So you will see these all different section, which means it was answering the different question I was asking. Then I copied them to Word file and I started having my own annotation. You can see my comments, support, opposing factor. I need to check how can I critically support this statement, blah, blah, blah. So before I even start reading my papers one by one, I already had some idea, okay, what's happening in that paper and which papers are more important for me, which three papers I have to start with. Oh, so I was already ready to and excited to start writing my literature review. But if you start with opening one by one, you will get bored and you will take so much more time to understand your literature. So after with these answers that I got, I started writing my, you see, I need to go through my data set to be added in instrument section, to be added on pattern of media dependence. And this is just the theories. I know it's a lot, okay? But PhD is a lot. You're doing your PhD for minimum of 3 years, maximum of God knows how long, because I took 5.5 years. So yeah, you will be doing a lot of different small portion of tasks, and just to make your life easier. Okay, this is easy way. This is the easy way out. Okay, so what I did, this file, it's written thesis support. This is after I started reading. So before I started reading my PDF, the steps were I went to different databases. I looked for literature. Then I went to Litmap. After I found those literature, I went to Litmap to understand the mapping of literature, then find anything that I missed before. I checked their ranking with SCR Web of Science, and then I came back, and finally I had my PDFs. Then I went to Elicit. In your case, you can go to Gemini or Claude. You can upload your PDFs and ask them to create a metadata for you, the one I showed. Then from there, if you have any query to ask from this PDF, like you can understand everything is in front of you, summary and discussion and limitation, theoretical framework or their methodology, their hypothesis, everything is there, but you still from their summary, you still have some confusion. Go to SciSpace, keep chatting with those PDFs. Just don't start reading, just keep chatting with them, get all the answers, and then go straight, copy them, paste it on your doc file, Start reading this. Now you're just reading this one, the one which was answered by SciSpace, and also the summary you have received. Then you see, um, then you map your data according to the top 10 that you want to start with. Then next top, then second batch of 10 PDFs, and do it separately with the variables. For your IV, separate steps, okay, one by one. Then you finish that, go for your DV. Then finish that, go for your mediating variable. Then you go for your theory. So whichever way you want to start first, but do it separately. Don't just jump to understand all the variables altogether, okay? After that, after you understand your PDFs, understand your literatures, you start reading. Now you know which one are more important to start with. So you start with them. Then whatever important factors you find, copy them and paste it on a, don't paraphrase or anything, just copy and paste, okay? So here you want to do few things. The first one, I have written reasons for choosing my independent variables. So you don't just start reading your literature. You have to know what you're looking for. Okay. So the first thing I was checking why I chose my IVs, I need to have that specific answer. So what I did, I copied anything that was related to this from um, any reference. I also put reference here. So reason 1 for choosing IV, reason 2 for choosing the IV. Then exclusion criteria for IVs. You have to have all the answers. Why you have selected those? Why didn't you select something else? What were the reasons that you had to exclude the other variables and include these specific variables for your IV or DV or MV? You need to have all this answer. Even if you're not going to put all of them in your thesis, all the data in your thesis, but you have to have it mentioned that the specific logic of why you chose anything that you choose in your thesis. So these are the exclusion criteria for IVs, reasons for choosing DV, future scope, any future scope. Then also there I had my own annotations. Significance of the study and future implication, could use this knowledge to prepare well for my any unforeseen epidemic, pandemic. See, I haven't even started reading the literature yet, right? I mean, I just started, but these are something I am talking with myself. Like, I know my context, I know my problem statement, I know my queries or my research question or objective. So now I'm just talking to myself, okay? So this is why it's important to increase the DMD by making it feel blah, blah, blah. These all are just my own thought that I'm gonna use it. I will synthesize the data. I will not just say this person says this, that person says this. I'm trying to understand why they are talking about this while others are talking about that. And without thinking about correct grammar or anything else, academic rigor, I am just writing what I think. And I'm not writing in a random PDFs. Okay, I'm writing it in the same space. So this one, future scope. Then there is reasons for choosing demographics, significance of the study, the practical significance, policy level significance, theoretical significance. These all are in the PDFs, and I have my own thoughts and notes with that. Okay, here's something which is very important for the discussion. Nobody taught me that, but the moment I discovered it, that this is how I am thinking, what if I just write it down? So I made it into different parts. Eventually, with your data, what you have to do, you have your literature, you have your understanding of literature. With your data, either your data supports the literature, or it opposes or refutes the literature, or it extends some new value to the existing literature, right? So the moment I thought about it, I started writing my findings like that. So for refutal part, anything I saw while I was reading the PDFs, I copied and pasted it here. Then any sentences or any statement that I thought that it will my data could extend this theory. At this stage, I didn't get my data yet. Okay, I didn't collect my data yet. So first, I was just writing that what I was expecting from my data. Okay, either probably my data could actually support this, or refute this, or extend this previous literature. And then the finding supports LR, the theory, right? So after I collected my data and finish analyzing and finish all that, I again came back to this and see which one actually supports, which data supported the previous literature, which data opposed previous literature, which data um, extended the previous literature. So it was just side by side. I kept both of these side by side, my findings and this thesis support. And it was such a big help. It even helped me until my defense. So initially, it seems that it's a lot of work. But when you do this much work systematically, if you just sit, if you spend 2 or 3 months in this, just organizing the data, keep it in front of you and start thinking about it every day. Back at my home, I had a whiteboard and with different colors, always some trying to formulate some connections and trying to understand why it matters, what I'm trying to look for, what is the gap. So the day I found my gap, the day I actually, because in your first year you will not understand anything, nothing will make sense. Nothing made sense for me for 3 years, okay, until my proposal defense in first year I was still clear. But after that, when I was preparing my instrument and everything, I again became so lost. Then, when I finished my pilot study, I was again so lost. So, that's why I want to save your time. You don't have to be lost, okay? You just follow this. You follow this process for research work or your PhD thesis or your master's thesis. It's gonna save your life, it's gonna save your time, okay? So, this is the thesis support. From here, I'm going to show you another complicated thing that you might think is complicated, but when so many things making your brain so chaotic with different information, you have to dump it somewhere, okay? You have to dump it in a mind map or in notebooks or somewhere, anything that helps you. I'm just going to tell you what helped me and why that was the best way, because how I conducted my Viva was so much smoother than what I saw my classmates did. And I tried to understand where I was right or where I was wrong. And after that, I accumulated and I designed these videos for you. So I know this is tested. The way I'm showing is tested. It might seem difficult in the beginning, but if you just do it one step at a time, one day at a time, or 1 week at a time, it will seem so easier for you. This is the last stage of my literature review before I started to write them. As I told you, I just enjoy understanding my data, my literature, not just my data, my literature. I also took a time to understand my data after data collection. I will show it in the results section as well. But this is en vivo. Usually you use that for qualitative data analysis. But I did for my literature review as well. I thought before I go for methodology section, I want to understand everything about my literature. Okay, these are all my articles that I uploaded here. Then I did some coding in a sense that what is theoretical gap, operational definition, all these things, and how I did the coding. There is a thing called literature mapping or mind mapping. Mind map helps me with anything, solving my personal life problems, writing, creative writing, or research articles or anything. I always go to mind map for my anything that I have to do in my life. So mind map means how you see step by step, how you see anything step by step. When I feel so scattered and if my mind is so scattered, I always do mind mapping. In like, even if I'm just writing my name, what are the 5 words that comes to my mind? Um, when I'm thinking about my name or some word, and from there, how deep I can go. Okay. That helps you calm down and being centered. Your focus gets so centered. So, since I do a lot of work, I make sure that my brain is always focused. Okay. So, let's see. I started with the title. So, I started the first circle with the title of my study. Um, by that time I already have my literature, right? I already have my problem statement, I already have research question, objectives, my hypothesis, blah blah blah. I read through my um, literature, so I did some basic synthesis, but now this is the last step. So I started with the title, my possible title, so which was mediating effect of brand trust between media skepticism and degree of individual media dependency during COVID among Malaysian millennials, right? So now I have to break it down until the time I cannot think anything else. Okay. So how I did that, now each keyword has to be broken down into many different keywords. So starting with what is MS or media skepticism, combination of trust in media and perceived media bias. These two were my factors of media skepticism. So IV1 and IV2. Why not any other attributes of media skepticism? Why did I choose TM or trust in media and perceived media bias? Then from here, how do I know that? How do I know these are the attributes of media skepticism? Then the attributes of trust in media. What makes trust in media trust in media? What makes perceived media bias a perceived media bias variable? Then what makes it an attribute of media skepticism? What makes it important for our study? So when I was doing this, see, you have to imagine, I was checking that if there is any question that is unanswered by the literature that I already found, this is for myself, not for the examiners. Okay, I need to know everything about my study before I move on to data collection or methodology, okay? Because you cannot come back and repeat. That is major correction. So you just have to have all the answer. Why you chose your IV, why you chose your DV. So that's what I was just asking myself. Like, what is DIMD? Degree of individual media dependency. This is my dependent variable, which I picked from media system dependency theory. So, element from media system dependency theory. What is media system dependency theory? Then, even that question had so many different branches, like why we think MSDT is important for this study. What are the inclusion criteria for a theory to be selected in this study? How do we know these criteria are validated? I mean, I just wanted to have all the answers. And from here, from each branch, I set keywords and I searched for literature based on that. Okay. Or I went to SciSpace and then took the particular PDF which could answer these questions. And then I asked SciSpace if they have the answer, if I couldn't find it. So, how it has impacted the behavior of people in the past, why impacting behavior of people is important, in fact. Is it ethical to influence behavior of people through media? I just wanted all the answer. Okay. I did not stop until I went deeper inside my brain. So, how the impacts are relevant in the study, blah, 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 what other options we had except MSDT. So, I also had to make sure I know what other similar um, concepts of theories which also answered this problem that I'm talking about, and why I haven't chosen them and I chose MSDT instead. Then this systematic literature part, that why MSDT was developed and what it did, what other contribution MSDT made before, contribution in the last 10 years. So I had many questions for that. Then explanation of MSTT, what description of the theory, level of theory, effects of theory, my expectation, the crisis scenario, all this. I'm not going to get into detail to that. Then comes my question one actually. Like usually what is the degree of DMD among the population during crisis? I found that okay, after understanding all this, my research question one is justified. Then after going deeper, like what happens if brand trust does not mediate between them? Okay? Because I chose mediating variable as my variable. Uh, then comes my research question two, research question three. Then I was talking about brand trust. Then I found research question four. So that's how I went. Then I had a separate section for the context, which is COVID-19, separate section for the population, which is Malaysian millennials, and how deeper I could go. Okay. I had to make sure I have, and I did. That's the experience I had during my Viva. I had all the answers. Anything you ask me, I had all the answers, except for some small formatting problem. I had all my answers. That's how you defend. You defend your study. You defend your thesis.
Organize your work and stop just working hard. You now have a matrix that actually talks back to you. Use these AI tools to find patterns while everyone else is stuck reading page 1. In the next episode, I'm showing you a Mendeley masterclass so you never have to manually type a reference again. I'll see you there.